Let's be real, a huge part of the digital world is broken, and not in the way you might think. We've built these incredible, amazing things, but for literally millions of people, they're completely unusable. So today, we're going to talk about a fundamental shift in how we fix this. Not with last-minute patches and frantic fixes, but by building accessibility into the very DNA of our work from the get-go, using design systems.
So, here's the game plan. First, we're going to get real about the scale of the digital accessibility problem. It's big. Then, we'll dive into the systemic solution that can actually fix it. I'll make the case for why this is absolutely non-negotiable in this day and age. And after that, we'll get practical with a real blueprint you can use. All of this is going to lead us to a new standard, a future where every product is born accessible.
All right, let's just dive right into the reality of the situation. We're not talking about a little crack in the system here. No, we're looking at a massive, gaping chasm between the digital world we've all built and the millions upon millions of people who are effectively locked out of it. Get this, 3%. That's it. As of 2022, that was the tiny slice of the internet that was fully accessible to people with disabilities. Now, flip that around. That means a staggering 97% of the web wasn't. That number alone just shows you the mind-blowing scale of the challenge we're up against. And that, right there, brings us to the million-dollar question. Clearly, fixing these issues one website, one app at a time, it just isn't working. It's like trying to bail out a sinking ship with a teaspoon. We need something bigger, something more systemic. So how do we actually fix this at scale? Well, the answer, the real game changer, is the core idea of this entire explainer, the accessible design system. Look, this isn't just some nice idea. It is, without a doubt, the most effective, most scalable solution we have to finally bridge that massive accessibility gap. So, what even is a design system? The easiest way to think about it is like a recipe book for a restaurant, or maybe a master Lego kit. It's the central collection of all the reusable parts and clear instructions. It ensures every single chef, or in our case, every designer and developer, is using the same ingredients and following the same steps. And what do you get? A perfectly consistent product every single time.
Now, an accessible design system takes that brilliant idea and just elevates it. It's not about tacking on a chapter about allergies at the end of the recipe book. No, it's about making sure every single recipe from the very beginning is healthy, nourishing, and inclusive for everyone. Every button, every menu, every single component is built to be accessible right out of the box, by default. And this really shows you the two completely different mindsets, right? When accessibility is baked in from the start, it's just part of your process. It's scalable, it's efficient, but when it's bolted on at the end, oh man, it's that frantic, expensive, inconsistent scramble right before launch. You know the one. It's the difference between a building with thoughtful architecture versus a messy last-minute renovation that never, ever quite fits right. Okay, so we've got the what, but now let's talk about the why. Why is this approach no longer just a nice to have, but an absolute must? Well, the whole case for it really rests on three incredibly powerful pillars. First, you've got the ethical case. I mean, it's just the right thing to do, plain and simple. We should be creating things everyone can use. Then there's the business case. Ignoring accessibility means you're willfully ignoring a huge chunk of your potential customers. And finally, you have the legal case. Laws are getting stricter all the time, and this is becoming the serious requirement you just can't ignore. I absolutely love this quote from the design team at Atlassian because it just perfectly reframes the whole conversation. The goal isn't just about taking off some legal box. The real goal is to build better, more thoughtful, more human products. And when you do that, compliance just becomes a natural byproduct of doing great work. Let's put a real number on that ethical case. 1.3 billion. That's roughly 1 in 6 people on this planet who live with some form of disability. Let that sink in. This is not a niche audience. It's a massive part of our global community that is too often being left behind. And if that's not enough, here's the business case in one giant number, $1.2 trillion. That's the annual disposable income of people with disabilities and their families. Forrester actually calls this the digital accessibility opportunity. From a purely business standpoint, it makes absolutely zero sense to exclude a market that is larger than the entire country of China. Okay, so we get it. We know the what, we know the why. But the big question that's probably on your mind is, how do you actually do it? How do you make this happen? So let's walk through a practical 5-step blueprint to bake accessibility right into your design system.
The blueprint is pretty straightforward. First up, you define your standards. Pick a benchmark like WCAG 2.2 Level AA. That's kind of the global gold standard. Then you build your foundations, things like color contrast and typography that scales. Get that right, and your base is solid. From there, you create your components using the right code, like semantic HTML, so they work with assistive tech. And this next part is crucial. You have to document everything so your whole team knows how to use it. And finally, you make testing a team sport, a constant collaborative process, not some last-minute check. And here are some quick, tangible examples. Do provide clear focus states so someone using a keyboard always knows where they are. Don't ignore keyboard navigation. Do use proper semantic HTML so a screen reader can understand the page structure. And please, don't rely only on color to show something is wrong, because someone who's colorblind won't see it. Simple stuff, but it makes a world of difference. So what's the big picture here? Where does all of this actually lead? Well, it leads to a fundamental shift in how our industry thinks about creating things. We are moving toward a future where products aren't retrofitted or patched for accessibility, but are instead born accessible. And I want to be crystal clear about this. Accessibility is not a feature, it is not an add-on, it's not some nice-to-have you sprinkle on at the end. It is a foundational requirement, just as important as security, performance, or usability. It's an absolutely essential ingredient for making truly great products for everyone. And this right here, this is the ultimate payoff. This is the transformative power of thinking this way. Because when you embed accessibility into your system, you are literally hard-coding inclusion into the DNA of your company. And every single product you ship from that point forward automatically inherits those inclusive principles. So I'll just leave you with this one question to take back to your team. As you start thinking about your next project, your next feature, your next big product, the question shouldn't be, will we add accessibility later? The question has to be, how are we making absolutely sure it's born accessible right from day one? The choice is yours, and honestly, it's going to define the future of everything you build.